Great news. This episode is not about New Year's resolutions, guys. I couldn't do the cliche New Year, New You episode that so many people are doing this time of year. And I'm sure I've been guilty of it in the past. In the last 5 seasons, I did at least once, no doubt. But maybe you're part of the, you're one of the 30% of people who actually make New Year's resolutions. Or maybe you're part of the 70 that doesn't. Either way, it doesn't matter. Because this episode is not about New Year's resolutions. It's about getting you to where you want to be as a person. So regardless of whether you make resolutions or not, this episode is absolutely for you because we all have the person we want to become in our lives. So that's the first question you have to answer as we start this episode is, who do you want to become in the coming year? Now, it's easy for me to say in the coming year simply because we're at New Year's. This episode comes out on New Year's Eve. But like I said, not a New Year's resolution. This is about a bigger question. It's who do you want to become? As a person, as a man, as an individual, in every aspect of your life, who do you want to become in the coming year? Because you have another chance to become that person. Now, all of us probably fell a little bit short. If you're like me and set really big goals, because I'm into setting really big goals, I didn't get through all my goals this year, but I am closer to the man I want to be than I was at this time last year. And I want you to say the same thing when we get to the end of 2025, that you are closer to the man or woman or the person that you want to become at the end of the year. Now I say man because I talk mainly to men, but ladies, I know some of you listen to my show, so I'm including you in this one for sure. Who do you want to become in the coming year? And I know I've said it 5 times, and that's because I want you to hear it. It's really important that you understand exactly who you want to become and have that clear image in your head. Visualize what that person looks like, what they've achieved, how do they live, what do they do, how do they spend their time, who are they as a person, how do people know them, right? When people think about them, what do they think about? What do their relationships look like? What does their lifestyle look like? Get this clear image of the person you want to become in the course of the next year. You see, people who want to say the same don't listen to this show. There's somewhere in your life that you're looking to level up, and that's why you're here listening to this episode. So, who is that person? See it clearly. Because I thought long and hard about this episode. And I had to answer a question of my own getting ready for this one. And that question is, if I only get to share one episode with you, if this is my one chance to talk to you, my audience, some of you are here for the first time, some of you are here for the 100th time as we wrap up season 5. But if I only get one chance to share one episode with you, what can I share with you that will help you on your journey? Now, I try and think of that with every episode, but for some reason, this one just hit harder with me than the previous 340 plus episodes that I've done. I don't know why I'm feeling so pressed on this one, but almost like a desperation, because I want to make sure that I am giving you everything I absolutely can in one episode help you in this coming year. By the way, welcome to the Fallible Man Podcast, where we dive into everything about becoming the man, husband, and father you always wanted to be. My name is Brent, and thanks for checking it out. So here are 4 things that together will make you unstoppable on your journey forward this year. Number 1, audit your time regularly. You have to take out the trash in your life. You have to take out it regularly. Just like you have to take out the trash inside your house, right? We have weekly pickups for that in most places. The trash in your life collects fast, and like a weed, it chokes out positive progress. Now, you put aside the fact that I'm a coach, okay? We'll just go, hey, I'm a podcaster, right? I have a bunch of colleagues and friends who are coaches as well. And the second most common place that people fail when they're trying to move forward with their life in a positive direction is they underestimate what it takes to add new things to their life because they underestimate how much of their time is taken up every single day. Everything in life has a time commitment, but you only have so many hours in the day. Now, you have the same 24 hours that Gary Vaynerchuk does, if you know who Gary is, or the Grant Cardone, or Elon Musk. Think of that big name that you look up to for whatever reason. You have the same 24 hours that they do. But one of the practices that they have is they audit their time with excruciating focus. Getting healthy has a time commitment. Getting organized has a time commitment. Reading more has a time commitment. Your life is likely too busy, to be honest. Now, only you can determine that. But really, if you start to dissect it, your life is probably actually a little too busy to have much success at taking on new things. That's why I told you it is the second cause for people failing to move forward the direction they want to, is they just have too much busyness for the sake of busyness in their lives. Now, this is one of those things that was very hard for me to wrap my brain around early on, is the idea that we like to be busy just for the sake of being busy. And all of us know somebody probably in our lives that we can look at and go, yeah, I know the guy you're talking about. Well, you got to think, because honestly, when you start to audit your time, you're going to find out that you have some of those same things that you see in somebody else. I do it too. So you need to look and audit the useless crap out of your life that's not serving you. That might be old habits. That might be old commitments. That might be media habits. Maybe you watch too much TV. I fell into that for a long time. I actually stopped watching most TV for a long time because I audited my time and I realized how much time I was spending watching TV, and I had to cut all the shows out for a little while just to help myself reset. I did the same thing. I was actually a gaming addict. Yes, that's a legitimate thing. I was actually addicted to gaming, and I had to completely cut out gaming for a while because gaming had taken over so much of my life, and I didn't even realize the time I was spending on it. We all have those things that we get into, and we honestly just don't see all the time we invest in those things. So you have to get this useless stuff out. Now, there's not a problem. I get grouched at this all the time. People don't like it when I say this. There is no problem with having some entertainment in your life, because there is a time to relax and to be entertained. I'm not saying you have to give up all the fun stuff. I'm saying that you probably spend a lot more time on some of that stuff than you actually realize if you honestly audit your time. A lot of people could start with just looking at their phone, right? Your phone has this great little thing called a screen log, and it will tell you precisely how many hours you're spending on your phone daily, weekly, monthly, and which apps you're on. Now, unless those apps are making you money, then you'll probably find one or two that you could cut back on. You could do the same thing. Like I said, firsthand, I had to do this with my TV viewing and with my gaming, because I was wasting a lot of time behind a screen that wasn't making me money. And even for those of us who make a living behind our screens, because if you've been on this channel before, you know I spend a ridiculous amount of time in my studio. I spend between 12 to 16 hours a day in my studio behind the computer screen that is behind the camera that I'm looking at right now, because I also work in digital marketing. I spend all my time on a computer because that's how I make a living. But even for those of us who make a living behind a screen, we know just how much time that we can waste behind that screen when we're off task. So please, to have a successful year, to become the you want to be by the end of 2025, you have to audit your time. Know exactly where that time is being spent, and then decide what is serving you, what is not serving you, and what is actually detracting from your goals. Number 2, you need to audit your beliefs. You have 2 killer belief systems in your head that you need to take a look at to move forward this year into becoming the person that you want to be. And this one's hard for me because I tend to be what I like to call a realist, which is what we pessimists like to call ourselves because it sounds better than being called a pessimist. Oh, I'm a realist. You're a pessimist. And this cuts to the bone, guys, because this is me. I really am a pessimist. The fact is, you have negative beliefs in your life, and you will have negative experience in your life because of it. Because you perceive things in a negative light, you're going to see negative things about you and more negative experiences. It's a weird phenomenon. And you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. It's like when you buy a new car. Almost everybody, I can't say everybody, but I would say the majority of the people listening to this or watching this have purchased a new vehicle. When you buy that new car, you suddenly see that car everywhere. Like it's, whoa, they're everywhere. Everybody's got one of these. This is called the Bader-Meinhof phenomenon, or frequency illusion. This is actually a psychological thing. It's a cognitive bias that occurs when a person becomes aware of a specific concept, word, or product. This is the definition. And in this case, we're talking about a new car, right? You buy that new car, and because you're very aware of that car now, you're seeing it everywhere. Well, you notice it more frequently than before, but its actual frequency hasn't changed. Likewise, if you focus on negative things, if you have negative beliefs that are guiding your life, you tend to be more of a pessimist like me, you're going to have more negative experiences in life because it's what you see and is actually what you seek out. Whether you know it or not, you're actually seeking out negative experiences and looking for the negative side of things and identifying those and fighting them. I'll give you another example today. My youngest daughter is terrified of spiders. And she is a spider magnet because of it. Like, she finds every spider in this house. No one will see a spider for months, and she can find one pretty much every day. Yes, I know they're in my house. We all know that you're never more than like 3 feet or 6 feet or some disturbing number from a spider. If you actually look up those kind of horrific numbers, they're always close by because they're plentiful. But my child will find them all the time, and she'll find them everywhere. Why? Because she is looking for them because she's terrified of them. It is the same thing. If you look for negativity, if you have a negative outlook, you're going to find more negativity. The fact is, you will find negativity if you're looking for it, because the world is not as it is. The world is as you are. You experience the world through the way you see the world. So we have to deal with two negative belief systems to make room for you to grow. And if you can get rid of these, the sky is the limit. The first type is limiting beliefs. Now, you may have heard me talk about limiting beliefs if you've listened to the show before, but limiting beliefs have to do with your skills, ability, and worth. Maybe this sounds familiar for you. For example, I'm not smart enough. I'm not strong enough. I'm not healthy enough. I'm not young enough. I'm not skilled enough. I'm not handsome enough to ask her out. I'm not valuable enough. That's a lot of negative self-talk. Maybe it's less obvious than that. Oh, I couldn't do that. Oh, well, yeah, he can do that, but that's not me, right? I don't have that. That's all limiting beliefs that you are speaking out loud. More importantly is you speak them internally way more often. You have limiting beliefs just bombarding your brain all the time. These thoughts become self-fulfilling prophecies. So when you have them, and this takes some time, you have to really focus in to do this, but carry around a notepad. Now, hopefully you have a little notepad. I have lots of these little Fallible Man notepads that I have all over the place from a conference I did, and I have a bunch of them left. And they're great for notes. They're small, they're pocket sized, and you can find a notepad just like it, super cheap at Walmart, I have no doubt. But start writing them down. Make a list in your phone. If you're a tech guy, instead of wanting to write down on paper, make a list on your phone and write down these negative beliefs as you experience them, these limiting beliefs about yourself, about your value, about your skills and abilities as you experience them. As you write them down, then you can start making a plan to disprove them, because that's how you overcome limiting beliefs. You actually break it down from a logical, non-emotional standpoint, look into them, look into the reality of them, the truth of them, and actually take fact versus feeling to disprove them. So you have to be able to write them down to start to have a plan. Now, I'm pretty sure I've done an episode on it, but just going through that cycle is actually a full nother episode. So we're not going to deep dive in that. Oh, and I meant to mention, I've done 2 whole episodes about taking out the trash and making more room in your life for positive experiences. So I'll link, so you have room to grow. So I'll link an episode down in the show notes or on the end screen, whatever platform you follow me on. So you can see those if you want to deep dive into taking the trash out, making room for new possibilities. You can also sign up for my mailing list and download my free ebook specifically on this subject. It's called Taking Out the Trash. And you can deep dive on it that way as well. But I have done a show on limiting beliefs, I'm pretty sure, but really that's a 2 or 3 part episode right there. Because this is something that a lot of men barrage themselves with. We all have limiting beliefs to overcome. Women do the same thing, of course. So start writing them down and you can start disproving them. The second set of negative beliefs, I don't have a better name for than just it's a negative belief. And they're predefined negative beliefs. We'll call it that, predefined negative beliefs. And they're things like money is bad or rich people are bad. There's a lot of that. You see that on the news a lot in the last year, where you have younger people going, well, you know, rich people are evil, or all rich people are crooked, or all rich people should have to, right? Predefine negative beliefs about certain things. And rich people just makes an easy subject, but you know, this can be a negative belief like, well, people who go to the gym regularly are just, you know, self-absorbed. That's a negative predefined belief. People who shop at Ross are all poor and filthy. People who drive this type of car are all wannabe gangbangers or gangsters, right? We have predefined negative beliefs. You might call them a bias. In some situations, they might even be something worse than that, like a, you know, faith-based bias or a color-based bias, right? Those are what we're dealing with, guys. We're hitting that deep territory, the same place where racism and stuff like that comes from. These are predefined negative beliefs, and we have to get these out of our head. They're not useful for anything, and they're not really true. But I'll go back to money is evil, right? A lot of people who grew up in the church will throw that quote, money is the root of all evil. Well, if you know your Bible well, it's not calling money evil. It's not calling people who have money evil. And it's a small phrase of a much bigger explanation of what's happening there. But that gets thrown around in churches sometimes. And so people have this idea that money's bad. God doesn't care if you have money. God doesn't care if you're rich or poor. God doesn't care about your income level. So it's a really funny belief to me. But if you have a deep-seated negative belief like rich people are bad, rich people are all X, right? Fill in whatever negative belief you want to throw in there. Money is bad. Then even if you want to become successful and wealthy, right? You're like, well, all those rich people are horrible, but I want to be successful and wealthy and I'll be different. Well, guess what? That belief in the background of your head is actually going to prevent you from ever reaching that success and wealth, because our subconscious works in overtime 24/7. And the things we believe about things, it helps bring to pass. No, I'm not talking about being able to, will things into existence. I know there are people who think that you can, speak it into the world and it will come into fruition, right? I don't subscribe to that. If you do, I'm not knocking your belief. I don't share that belief, and you have your rights to it. However, I will tell you, your subconscious is super powerful. And if you have negative beliefs about wealth and success, then your subconscious will help sabotage you, and we will self-sabotage, because if that is a deep core belief inside of you, your subconscious will prevent you from becoming part of that negativity. It sees it as a bad thing, so it will sabotage you on your trip to get there. So what are your deeply held negative beliefs that are just this predefined? Write them down. Now, this takes some introspection. It may take you a day or two. This is not necessarily something that you can pop off, because you're going to have to dig. Because a lot of people don't know that they have predefined negative beliefs about certain things like wealth and success, about where people shop or where people live, right? We have socioeconomic deep held beliefs that are just as potent as you would say racism is. So it may take you a little bit to actually get that out of your brain and write these things down. But you need to identify these negative beliefs, because they are subconsciously working against you becoming everything you want to become. So here's 3 questions to help you overcome those predefined negative beliefs once you've identified them. Number 1 is it true? Number 2 is, how old is that belief and where did it come from? Because a lot of these predefined negative beliefs are actually passed down generationally. They came from your parents or from your grandparents, let alone the fact of, is it true or not? Because a lot of them, you're going to go like, are all rich people bad? Well, the truth is no, because I know some very wealthy people who are some of the most amazing people I've ever known in my life. They're very generous. They're very kind. They're very warm. They're wonderful individuals who try to make the world a better place. So I know that that's not true. Even if my subconscious thinks so, I have to let myself know that and tell myself that. How old is that belief and where did it come from? Well, if you come from a family that's always struggled with money, then you're going to have preconceived negative beliefs about finances. This is me. My dad never made a lot of money, never had a lot of money. And so I have a negative relationship with money that I've had to work on over the years, because I had it in my head that I was never going to make any kind of good money, because only people who cheated could get ahead, right? Negative beliefs I've had to deal with in my life. So you might have some that have come down as well. So how old is that belief? Where did it come from? And the third part is, what needs to be true for me not to believe this? So if you make a plan that says, I have a negative relationship with money and I think money is generally, people who have a lot of money are bad. Why do I think they're bad? Well, because they don't share that money. Okay. So make a plan in your life that you will always donate X amount of what you make. Whether you make this much or you make that much, right? Whether you make $50,000 a year or $1 million a year or $100 million a year, make a plan that you're going to donate X percent, period, whatever you make for the rest of your life. Then you can't be bad or greedy or whatever nonsense you had in your head. And so it's no longer true. All right. We have to get past these negative mindsets that are subconsciously sabotaging you from becoming the person you want to be. To achieve your goals and become the person you envision over the next year, we got to get your beliefs and your goals in alignment. You can't have a goal over here when you have a belief over here that's going to sabotage you getting to that goal. Number 3, build your skills. For you to get to the place you want to be by the end of 2025, you have to build your skills. The fact is, none of us can achieve all the things we want to without a solid income source. We've done a great disservice to the last few generations, filling their head with this nonsensical BS, encouraging them to go to school and follow whatever nonsensical dream was floating in their head about, I want to do this with my life, and go, yeah, go do that. When there was no chance that was ever going to pay for their life and the needs of their life. We've been doing this for the last 2-3 generations now, where we say, yes, go get a degree in whatever you ever want to, and it will be great. And there's no way we know statistically and factually that will not bring in them an income that will pay for their life, let alone pay back the money they owe. There are a ridiculous amount of college degrees that cost an absorbent amount of money that will never even have the value to pay off their costs. And the truth is, the world pays you based on the value of what you provide to the market. And there are a whole lot of degrees that provide no value to the market or to the world. So build your skills. Yes, I'm not saying college is bad. I'm saying there are a lot of things we've gotten this wrong. It's find something that you can do that will allow you to make an income where you can love the rest of your life and do the things you want to do with it. It's not go do whatever you want to do. Go find something that actually makes you an income that will let you live the rest of your life outside of work, doing the things you want to do, spending your time the way you want to spend them, and moving to the places you want to be. There are skills that will always be in demand and that will always have value, and there are a lot that don't. For example, building skills that can help other people make money or save time will always be in demand. They will always have value. Things like marketing, sales, programming, pretty much all of the trades, the jobs we call the trades, all of these things will always have value to the marketplace. They will always have value to other people, and they are part of a critical infrastructure of the way our world works. They will always be of value, thus they're always good skills to develop. So pick one thing, one value skill that will actually make you money, no matter what you do. Say you go the trades route. And I love the trades, guys. I was in the trades for years. Maybe become a plumber. I have a friend who's a plumber, has a plumbing business. Guess what? He became a plumber, and him and his family decided to move. And he decided when they moved to start his own business instead of finding another plumbing shop to go with. Well, guess what? He already has the skills. It didn't matter. He was living in California, and now he lives where I live in Washington. And guess what? That skill has incredible value here, just like it did where he lived in California. If he had moved to North Carolina, that skill would still have value, and he would not be starting over from scratch just because he wanted to move. Pick skills and develop a skill that was going to have value and going to make you money because it has value to the market. And pick that one thing and pursue it. Attack it the way a professional athlete pursues his career. Practice it day in, day out. Breathe it, live it, know it inside and out. Be obsessed with it. Be the best with it. Go an inch wide and a mile deep on it. Not a mile wide and an inch deep on a bunch of stuff. There is a place for a jack of all trades as far as knowing things, but if you really want to have value, you got to go deep, not wide. So find that power skill. There's only so many of them, honestly. And master it better than anyone else, or at least try to master it better than anyone else. Yes, there's probably going to be someone who's always better at you at that one thing, but you can still be better than 98% of the people, right? Be the best at it, and it will make you money to do things that you really want to do. I had this conversation with a friend of mine several years ago, and he had been raised his whole life with the idea, if you do what you love, then you'll never work a day in your life. I don't remember which guy said that. Someone said that. It was one of those great, quotes, gets subscribed to a lot of people, but it's a great idea. But unfortunately, not everything that you love is going to make you an income that will let you do what you want with your life. So find something. I told him, I said, that's the wrong approach. Find something that you don't hate. Find something that you can go to work and still smile at the end of the day, and you can enjoy your coworkers and be really great at your job. And it doesn't take everything out of you. Not the kind of job where you go and you hate yourself every day for being there, but a job where you're like, yeah, I can absolutely do this, with a skill that's going to make you the income you need to live the life you want to live outside of work, because that's where it really matters. And he really struggled with wrapping his brain around that for a while, until it actually clicked. And he started to understand what I was talking about, because he changed career paths, and all of a sudden he had more money to do the things he wanted to do when he wasn't at work. Even if you have a career, okay, as someone who has changed careers 4 times now in my life, at least 4 or 5, I'm losing count, you can still do this. It can be inside your current career path, or it can be outside your current career path, and you can still do this. You can call it a side hustle. You can call it a hobby. For now, let's call it learning something of value. And it can start as a hobby and become a side hustle, and maybe replace your full income eventually if you've already got a career path. But just because you're on a course already doesn't mean that you can't find one of these power skills and find out you're amazing at it and thrive at it and change your life by the end of 2025. I promise you can. The 4th thing is you need to upgrade your habits. Good habits set the foundation for compounding growth. Who you are today is a reflection of the habits you've chosen previously. And habits are things that you do all the time. You're an echo of those decisions and habits. The way you look and feel today has to do with habits and decisions you made 6 months ago. These habits dictate everything you do in the future as well. So to have a different future by the end of 2025, you have to change the micro habits to go with it. Because if you practice the same habits you have now, by the time you get to the end of 2025, life's not going to look any different. We've all heard the adage that, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different outcome. That's exactly what this is. To have a different future than you have now, than where you are now, you have to have good micro habits. The book I most commonly give away as a gift to people is James Clear's Atomic Habits. I've given this book away. I've given more copies of this book away, I think, than any other book I've ever given out to anybody other than the Bible. No, I'm not saying it's second to the Bible. But as far as works of nonfiction go, it is the most life-impacting book that I've ever found for people, because it teaches them the power of their micro habits. I give it away because James Clear, drove this point home better than anybody else has ever explained it, as far as I'm concerned. And it's 100% true. Your little daily habits dictate the results of the rest of your life. You are the culmination of those habits. So here are 3 habits that will help you build a solid foundation as you move into the next year. Number 1 is to wake up earlier than you wanted to. Successful people start early when everybody else is still groggy or asleep. They're already running hard. Gentlemen, I've done 345 or 46 episodes now of this podcast. I've done a lot of solo episodes. I've also done a lot of interviews. And I've done a lot of interviews with very successful men. And one thing I find in common with all of them is all of them start earlier than the average person. Now, I know for some of you, that's really difficult, because some of you are just like me. and have worked in jobs where you've had to be at work at 5 or 6 a.m. most of your life. My workday has started at 6 a.m. since I was 16 years old. I just turned 45 recently. So since I was 16 years old, I've had to be at work at 6 a.m. or earlier all that time. The only exception was when I worked nights. And I worked nights for a couple of years. But the whole of my life, I've been having to get up and be at work early. And so you go, but Brent, that's early. I'm already getting up at a ridiculous time to go to work. Figure it out, guys. You can get up 30 minutes earlier. You can go to bed 30 minutes later. And I know some of you are going to have to do that. But the difference is the wake up earlier principle is this. For the majority of people, wake up earlier is absolute sound advice. For some people, that's going to be stay up later because your day just works that way. I know a lot of guys in the trades who get up at 4 o'clock, not because they're trying to get ahead, but because they have to get up, get ready for work, and then drive an hour to work. So the principle is this. With wake up earlier, it's be willing to work longer and harder than the majority of people. Number 2, read 10 pages of a book to feed your mind, not a fiction book. Fiction books are a lot of fun. They can be good for helping you develop good reading habits and skills, but read 10 pages of a nonfiction book that helps you build skills and knowledge every single day. I promise it's going to make a huge impact on your life. Number 3 is move. American society has robbed us of our most powerful tool for a better life, and that's movement. We've become lazy, lethargic, and apathetic as people, and a lot of our jobs have shifted to desk-type jobs, so we're not moving as much, even at work. Very few people are into farming. I live in an agriculture community. I live in the middle of a bunch of farmers. They get up and get moving every day. Well, guess what? That's what life used to look like for everybody. And as we've become more sedentary in our professional worlds, we've also become more sedentary in our outside world, outside of our professional obligations. Our body was designed to move, to work, to be challenged. Without it, we've seen hugely negative results. We've seen people's health declining rapidly. We've seen a rise in diseases. We've seen a rise in illnesses. We've also seen drops in testosterone. Not moving is hurting you. So every day, exercise. Do something. It doesn't have to be like a soul-crushing workout, okay? You don't have to beat yourself into the ground, and you're not David Goggins, so please don't go and try and run 25 miles tomorrow if you don't normally run. But move. Get physical. Get active. For men, it's actually even more critically important, even than women, because it connects directly with our mental well-being. There's a direct correlation between everybody's emotional and mental health and movement, but even more so for men by a slight amount, even more so for men. It is directly connected to our mental and emotional well-being. So get moving. These 4 skills are 4 things. I don't even know how to say that at this point. These 4 things that I'm sharing today, gentlemen, are absolutely key to you becoming the person you want to be by the end of 2025. If you can hone these 4 things by the end of 2025, you will be a lot closer to the man you envision when you close your eyes, the man you dream of becoming, than you are now. Can't wait to see the person you envisioned in your head at the beginning of this when you take these things and move forward into 2025. You don't need a New Year's resolution. That's why this isn't a New Year's resolution show. You don't need to do it on a whim. But the person you truly desire to be is waiting for you on the other side of some work. But if you put in that work, you take these 4 things I've shared with you and head towards that person, you absolutely will be so much closer to that person, if not that person. Or you may get to that person and decide you can do even more. That's one of the cool things about personal development is you hit goals and you're like, I can do more than that. I can be better than that. And it starts the whole journey for you. Dan Martell says it very well. Nobody else needs to approve of me, change the way they are, or say anything for me to be successful. You don't need permission. You don't need anybody to tell you can do it. No one has to say anything to you. No one has to approve of what you're doing. No one has to change what they're doing for you to become who you want to be. You just have to go do it. The world absolutely needs the person that you envisioned as much as you do. I want you to do it for you. Not because I said so, not because I suggested it, not because your spouse thought so, or some book told you you need to grow. Do this for you. Become the person that you were meant to be. Become the person that you look up to, that you envision being when you close your eyes and think about it. The world needs that person as much as you do, because that's who you're meant to be. And the impact you have on the world around you will be incredible as you grow into that person. You deserve to become the person that you want to be anyway. You need the work it's going to take to get there, because that's the process that will actually help you become that person, is by doing that work. Become the man you were born to be. The world needs you to be that man, and so do you. Now, gentlemen, normally right here, like I pretend that was a mic drop moment. Maybe that wasn't a mic drop moment. I try to be, sorry, I'm stuffed up today. I try to be really dramatic there, and maybe that wasn't a mic drop moment for you, but normally I would sign off right there, because that is what I wanted to leave you guys with as we wrap up 2024 and head into 2025. But we have to do some housekeeping. And if you're new to the show, we don't usually do this, but this is information you guys need to hear. This is the last episode of season 5. But it's also the last episode of the podcast under the name The Fallible Man Podcast. The podcast is not ending. Before I freak anybody out, the podcast is not ending. The Fallible Man Podcast is here to stay. After some soul searching, some discussion with some of our listeners, the podcast isn't ending. It's rebranding. So this will be the last episode under the name The Fallible Man Podcast. We're rebranding for a lot of little reasons, but mainly because I named it badly at the beginning of this journey, because I knew nothing about branding and marketing when I started this show. Truth is, people have no idea what the show is about based on the name or the artwork. It doesn't explain anything. And that means that there are a lot of people who would benefit from or enjoy this podcast that aren't finding it because I didn't know what I was doing when I named it the Fallible Man Podcast. So that means that we're not meeting our mission, which is to reach and serve as many men as possible, because I just didn't know better. It's not an excuse. It's just a fact. I knew nothing about branding or marketing or anything like that when I started doing this. And I really didn't understand the impact of, I just like the name. And I've explained it to people over the years, and people are like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. But I have to have a 10-minute conversation with people to explain why we named it that, which I don't get a chance to do when people are scrolling through their phone on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever they're watching or listening to the show. So we are rebranding the show so we can better convey what this show is about and how it can serve people to our audience, and hopefully reach more people that way. I'm very blessed that some of you have found us over the years, but we are missing reaching a lot of men because of this blunder on my part. I'm a little slow on learning. It's only taken 5 seasons and like 346 episodes, whatever this episode is, for me to understand that I made a mistake here. So, me really fast on the uptake sometimes. But here are the 3 things you absolutely need to know. While this is the last episode under this name, it is not the end of the podcast. And so it's not going anywhere. There's just a short break. Season 6 will not start until February 2025. Normally, we do the New Year's episode, and the first episode is the very next week. The first episode of the new season is next week. For the sake of getting all my ducks in a row, I need a month to finish the process of rebranding the show. I'm also rebuilding a new website to go with it and everything else. And I'm doing that all on my own. So you can imagine there's a lot of time involved in this. So to give myself a little breathing room, Season 6 will not start until February 2025, and it will start under a different name. Second thing, I don't have a title yet, but the RSS feed should not change. So if you're subscribed, you will still find my show when we start back on February 4th. Clear as mud. Everybody got that? So as long as you're subscribed to the show, when we relaunch February 4th, 2025, you will absolutely start getting those episodes to your feed. Number 3, if you join our mailing list, you will be kept up on all the changes as they happen in real time. I have a bi-weekly newsletter that I send out. It's got multiple articles in it that are exclusive to my newsletter. It is where I talk to people the most bluntly. It is where I share the most openly about what is happening behind the scenes. My newsletter subscribers have actually been aware that we are in the middle of a rebrand for several weeks now, and have actually been following along the stages as we made subtle changes preparing for the major rebrand. So there's a link in the description if you want to subscribe to my newsletter. I don't bombard you with a bunch of crap, guys. You get exclusive content that I don't share anywhere else, insider information, and offers from the people we do interviews with and stuff like that. So that's a bi-weekly newsletter, and you should subscribe. Like I said, the link's down below. You'll get the free Taking Out the Trash ebook that I wrote, that I talked about at the beginning of the episode, when you sign up for that, just as a thank you for joining our newsletter. So that is what's happening, guys. It is New Year's Eve when this episode is coming out. Be safe, be smart, enjoy your New Year's festivities. Please, if you're drinking, don't drive, be responsible. We want to see you in the coming year. Guys, for season 5, an incredible year here at The Fallible Man, and an incredible 2024. Thanks for joining us on this journey. Be better next year because of what you do today. We'll see you on the next one.
This has been the Fallible Man Podcast, your home for everything man, husband, and father. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a show. Head over to www.thefallibleman.com for more content and get your own Fallible Man gear.